Hello everybody and welcome to the remote meeting of the Statutory Licence Committee taking place on Friday the 18th of September 2020, which is being recorded live to the Council's website and will be available to be viewed for a minimum of 6 months. I am Councillor Pauline Craythorne and I will be chairing the meeting. I am joined by Carol Hampson, Leanne Kennedy, Karen Little and Joyce Maitland. If my connection is lost, Councillor Maitland will take over until my connection is restored. Could everyone please keep their microphones on mute and use the function of RTS if they would like to speak during the process of the meeting. Moving on to the agenda. Have we any apologies for absence, Jill Harrington?
No, there are no apologies for absence, Chair.
Any substitute members, please, Jill?
No, we have no substitute members, Chair.
Have any members any declarations of interest? Item 4, minutes of the meeting held on June the 25th, July the 9th, July the 17th and the 30th of July. Do we have a mover to pass those minutes?
I'll move them, Councillor Maitland.
Thank you very much. Do we have a seconder to move the minutes?
Kennedy.
Thank you very much. Item 5 is the application for the grant of the premises licence for La Mensa at 12 to 13 Main Street, Ferry Hill. I would like to welcome the parties to the hearing, who are the applicant, Mr. Varren, and also the objector, Mr. Rotherham. We are also joined by the licensing team leader, Helen Johnson, Committee Services Officer, Jill Harrington and Martin Tyndale, and the legal advisor to the subcommittee, Catherine Hazel. Please note that all 5 members will be sitting during the hearing today, but only 3 will make the decisions. I now ask Catherine to explain why we do this and to run through the procedure. Over to you, Catherine.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So this is a statutory licensing hearing in accordance with the Licensing Act 2003, which means that only 3 members are entitled to make the decision today. However, during any hearing, there's always a risk that conflicts of interest can arise, or a member may take ill or lose connection to the hearing, forcing them to retire. If this happens, it would mean that today's hearing would have to be concluded due to it being inchoate, and a new hearing would have to be rearranged. Therefore, to ensure that this does not occur, additional members are asked to participate so that they can stand in for any member that has to retire. Having had the benefit of taking part in today's hearing, this member will have all the information and understanding necessary to make an informed decision. With regards to the procedure today, we'll first hear from Helen Johnson, the licensing team leader, who will present her report to the licensing subcommittee. Every party will then be given the opportunity to ask questions of Mrs. Johnson based on what she said, and you'll be invited to do so by the chair. Once questions have been asked, we'll then go to Mr. Rotherham, the objector, who will present his representations to the subcommittee, and each party will then be given the opportunity to ask questions of him. We'll then go to the applicant, who will present his case to the subcommittee, and each party will have an opportunity to ask questions on what he has said. Following that, every party is given the opportunity to sum up their arguments by the chair, and then once that has taken place, the subcommittee will decide which 3 members will take part in the decision making, and the meeting will then be ended and the 3 members will enter a separate meeting to determine the outcome of today's hearing. Every party will be notified of the decision later today by the licensing officer, and a more formal notice of determination will be sent out in the post following today's hearing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Catherine. Can we now move on, please, to the licensing officer's report? Helen Johnson, please.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, everybody. So, as stated, this is an application for the grant of a premises licence for La Mensa, which was submitted by Mr Varan on the 24th of July 2020. The application's attached as Appendix 3, pages 60 to 80, and the consultation for that application ended on the 21st of August 2020. So the applicant stated within the application that it was an Italian bar and restaurant, family run, on one level. There's an outside garden, bar and toilets, kitchen and a bar all inside the restaurant. The original application was for the following activities: live music indoors and outdoors on a Saturday, 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. and on New Year's Eve, 6 p.m. until midnight. Recorded music indoors and outdoors Monday to Sunday, 12 p.m. until 10 p.m. and on a New Year's Eve, 12 p.m. until 1 a.m. and the sale by retail of alcohol on the premises Monday to Saturday, 12 p.m. until 11 p.m. and on a Sunday, 12 p.m. until 10 p.m. and New Year's Eve, 12 p.m. until 1 a.m. However, during the consultation process and leading up to the hearing today, the applicant did amend the application and removed live and recorded music from the application, so it's just for the sale of alcohol. And the applicant also confirmed that the closure of the outdoor area of 8 p.m. each day. We did, during the consultation period, we received responses from Durham Constabulary and Durham Safeguarding Children Partnership, which you'll see at pages 85 to 87. The applicant agreed some additional conditions for the promotion of the licensing objectives. County Durham and Darlington Fire and Rescue Service and Durham County Council's Environmental Health had no comments to make in regards to the application, and we did receive something from planning, which was for information which was forwarded to the applicant. Those are at, you'll see at Appendix 5, pages 88 to 91. We did receive 2 letters in opposition to the application, one from Mr and Mrs Bates and one from Mr Rotherham of Higginbotham's Pharmacy. Following the amendment is highlighted above, in removing the live and recorded music from the application and to close the outside area at 8 p.m, Mr and Mrs Bates withdrew the representation. Mr Rotherham's representation still remains, and that's attached as Appendix 4, page 82. Subcommittee is asked to determine this application in the view of promoting the licence and objectives, and recommended to give appropriate weight to the steps that are appropriate to the promotion of the licence and objectives, the representation including any support and information presented by all parties, Durham County Council statement of licensing policy and the relevant parts of that policy are attached as Appendix 6, pages 92 to 95, and also the Section 182 guidance issued to licensing authorities, pages 97 to 101, attached as Appendix 7. So the options available for members today is to grant the licence subject to the conditions that are consistent with the operating schedule accompanying the application and the mandatory conditions set out in the Act. Grant the licence subject to modified conditions to that of the operating schedule where the committee considers it appropriate for the promotion of the licence and objectives and the mandatory conditions set out in the Act. To exclude from the scope of the licence any of the licensable activities. To remove the licence, a person on the licence as the designated premises supervisor. Or lastly, Chair, to reject the application. Thank you, Chair, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Helen. Mr Rotherham, have you any questions at all on the report from the licensing officer?
Do you mind if I just clarify? I think you said something about the alcohol licence. So what part of the alcohol licence was removed, did you say? Did you say something?
There's just the licensable activity of sale of alcohol. So we removed live and recorded music from the licence.
Right, okay.
So that's all the questions you have, Mr Rotherham?
Not at the moment, yeah.
Right, Mr Varan, do you have any questions on the licensing officer report?
Not really, I don't have any question. As already mentioned that how we work.
Can I just come in, Mr. Varon? You will be given your opportunity to put forward your case. It's only any questions on the report of which the office has given you. Is there anything in that report that you have concerns about?
No.
No? Thank you very much. Do any members have any questions on the report? Catherine, do you have any questions on the report?
No questions, thank you, Chair.
Could we have the representation from the objector, please? Mr. Rotherham, would you like to put your case forward, please, to the committee?
Hello there. As you've seen from obviously the email that I sent in with regards to my objection, pharmacy's been here for over 30, 40 years. Myself, I've been here over 10 or 11 years. I've no major objection to anybody wanting to start a business. My main concern is about the volume of noise that might come from the premises. As a pharmacy, we have to practice safely. We've serviced the community for a very long time, especially through this pandemic, working tirelessly to support the community. And one of the big aspects of that is safety, and also the access of patients to be able to come to a quiet environment and discuss issues like mental health and problems like that. My main concern with the application was around the fact that the volume from the actual premises that would come from having an outside bar, the movement of people from inside and outside, and just the general disturbance that would cause to the staff in the pharmacy who are trying to concentrate to ensure that the medicines are dispensed correctly and dispensed safely, and obviously any disturbance to patients wanting to come in and use a quiet environment for discussion things. So I've got no I've got no objection to people to try and make a living. I've got nothing personal against anybody, but I need to make sure that my business is protected in terms of looking after the people that I look after in the community. And that's my big concern, that there's going to be a lot of noise from the premises.
Is that all you have to say for the moment, Mr. Rotherham?
Yes, yeah.
Right. Any questions from Helen?
Nothing from me, Chair, no.
Mr. Varon, have you any questions for Mr. Rotherham on what he said?
I just want to mention one thing. When he put objecting, we spoke to it was about inside music. I just want to say that we already offered Mr. Rotherham to come and see our other restaurant, which we've been there for 3 years, and we don't have any problems, there, and neighbors are happy with us, and nobody complains about any noise or music, as we just play background music, which is just Alexa is just a tiny device that we play in the background, and we don't even have any speakers in the place. And also we offered Mr. Rotherham to come over there, have a meal over there in our restaurant in Shildon to see how we run it, and if you see is like that's how professional we run it and how we serve customers in over there. And in here is going to be exactly the same. You're not going to have like noise in the place. You're not going to have people coming like getting drunk and be loud. What we do is just like a family-run restaurant, and we got 2 kids who live upstairs as well. We don't want a bad environment for ourselves. We don't want to get people in like noisy people, bothering neighbors, getting drunk end of the night, and which I mean is just a family place for families, people coming there, and we obviously we're creating job in here. Over 15 people going to work in this restaurant, and what we have is outside the restaurant is just for dining. Families going outside sometimes, sitting outside if the weather is good and eating outside. But the rest of that is I would say I don't think anybody can hear music from outside or next door. That's which I am sure Mr. Rotherham will never hear any music from our place. And we need to concentrate. We can't blast people with music while they're eating food. And also, the reason we want music license is you can't have a place like some of them, some of them Wetherspoons with no music is going to be no atmosphere for our place. We need to play like just background music for people eating, having some.
Excuse me, Mr. Varon, can I just come in? I understand everything you're saying, but you'll be able to put all this in your report, what you give to the committee. It's basically just to answer which you have about questions on noise and that what Mr. Rotherham put forward. So is there any more questions just on to reassure Mr. Rotherham, or would you wait till you do your report and then you can tell Mr. Rotherham everything you want him to know?
Okay, yes.
Is that all right with you?
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Could I ask if any members have any questions for Mr. Rotherham? Oops. No, no one? Right. Catherine, do you have any questions for Mr. Rotherham?
No questions, thank you, Chair.
Right, Mr. Varon, it's your chance now to put forward to the committee why we should consider your licence and what you've done to try and improve the area so it doesn't affect the other businesses. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we've been part of community in other restaurant in Shildon, and we're gonna do the same. We work with charities, we work with local authorities, we work with all the, I would say, activities, I would say benefits the community. And people in over there, around 15 people working in our restaurant over there, and here will be the same. And I would say this is a place for people in the town in Ferryhill. Nighttime, there isn't any place really family going in the town. So we bring, I would say, bring a kind of life to the town as well, and people have somewhere to go and sit down with their kids, with their families, to relax and have a meal in over there. And what I'm going to say in here is, I understand Mr. Rotherham before the people in here, they made problem for him. Loud music, kind of, I don't know, disco or bar, something like that. People getting drunk, making noise outside. I understand that their patients coming to the chemist. Some people are ill and some people are not well. And nobody wants that, which we don't do that. We have neighbors living 30 yards away from our Shildon restaurant, and they're our best friends. And we have a tenant living on top of other restaurant. They never ever complained about music or noise or anything. As 9 o'clock, all our customers are out, and we don't serve just alcohol. People coming getting drunk. We got people who eat a meal with the family and have a drink as well on side of the alcohol, which is, I would say, is professional way we treat people, and we never had any problems with police in that time. Never had people coming making trouble. We never called police on anybody in that place for bothering or being loud, because professionally we know how to handle customers, and we don't sell cheap drink to attract some people who wants to get drunk and do nonsense or wrong things. And people come, eat their meal and have one drink and they go out. All the things like we need the music as a background, as a atmosphere for the restaurant, and even live music. If you have live music, it's gonna be like kind of a single singer, not a band, not like loud music. It's going to be live music after probably 6 o'clock on a Saturday night, which the chemist is closed and they are not around here. And again, with that, again, we don't allow music because we got kids, our kids living upstairs and asleep by that time. We got a 1-year-old. We don't want that like working and business effect on our kids in a wrong way. So that's, I'm sure Mr. Rotherham, as soon as he sees us working, how we run our place, sadly, he didn't accept to come to Sheldon to see our restaurant in over there and have given us. He should come and see how we run it. I'm sure he would take his object out. But at the minute, that's a problem. Sadly, people before they bothered Mr. Rotherham in here, because people been here getting drunk over there outside, loud, fighting, them things. We don't want to do that. We don't need that. We are not a nightclub or we are not a bar. We are a restaurant and we work professionally and we know how to run a business without making problem for neighbors. All our neighbors are in here, so be so friendly. Straight away they came to us, but sadly before is still Mr. Rotherham still. I'm not gonna say that, but I think he's trying to punish us for the previous tenants who bothered them really.
Thank you very much, Mr. Varon. Helen, have you any questions at all?
No, I've got nothing, Chair.
Mr. Rotherham, have you any questions at all? You're on mute, Mr. Rotherham.
Sorry about that.
Right.
There's no malice from my direction towards the applicant at all. This is nothing to do with anything other than the current situation. I don't need to go and see how he operates in another business in another area because that's not my concern. I understand he probably runs a very successful business and he probably runs it very well. None of those are really my concern. So going for a free meal doesn't really, that's not going to make me feel any better about how it's going to operate. The question I would ask is all of the things that you've said. You mentioned live music, but my understanding is you've taken that out of the application. Is that correct?
Helen, would you like to come in with that?
Yeah, that's correct. Live music's been removed as a licensable activity. What I do need to explain is if this license is granted, there's under the Deregulation Act of 2015, if a premises is granted with the sale of alcohol on the premises, it does benefit from having live music indoors or outdoor on its premises without the need for a license. And that can be between 8 AM and 11 PM for up to 500 people. So if this was granted, that would be the case. Now, if there was any noise nuisance or anything from music, then obviously environmental health, if it was reported, environmental health would obviously look into that. So I think what Mr. Varon was saying there, on a Saturday night, he was going to look to have an occasional live music act on at 6 PM. So we could do that without having a license if it was granted for sale of alcohol.
And during the day then, is that right?
He could, yeah. And like I said, there are, if it causes a nuisance, then obviously the appropriate authorities would have to investigate that. There's also as well, if the license was granted, you yourself, if it was causing any nuisance or anything like that, we as the licensing authority can work with yourselves and the license holder to kind of address those concerns. And then there's always the provision, if you wanted to review that license as well. And again, it would be brought back in front of members of the licensing committee where they could look to take any action against the licence. So yeah, under the Deregulation Act, there is that provision where if this licence is granted for the sale of alcohol on the premises, it does benefit from the exemptions under the deregulation of having the live music.
Can I just also clarify something with Mr. Varan? So the outside area in your plans, you've got an outside bar and kitchen area where you stated that it was just for food. If it was nice weather, so how would that operate then?
Right, outside, there's no kitchen outside. And obviously I would say the bar, we said we don't serve alcohol in there now. That was a original plan. But we are not going to serve alcohol there, or food, just people sitting outside. The thing is, another thing about live music, we will never have live music during the day. We won't do that. Is 3 or 4 times a year. 3 or 4 times a year, which is start 6 o'clock on Saturday night until 9. It's 3 hours maximum. I would say 10 o'clock if it's like normal Saturdays. And just for the New Year Eve, it's like during the day, not worth doing it, and we don't need to do it during the day. And it's just for the night time on Saturday. It's gonna be on Saturday 3 or 4 times a year. And once is New Year's Eve is going to be till midnight. And in this current situation, obviously, it's not going to happen. And we don't have any plan for this year, I would say. And hopefully, after the COVID, next year, that's going to be next year probably. And also, what we said, we cancelled it. Is about music outside. That's what we said. All together, we said we don't play any music outside, which we don't really need to do. As our next door neighbor, we've spoken to them, and they stay in their garden, sitting in the garden, so we don't want to bother them. They are like retired couple, and they're all right, and completely we took that off, and we won't do that outside, like playing music outside.
Right, Mr. Varan, thank you. Helen, do you want to just come back in there?
Yeah, can I just clarify, Mr. Varan, you've just said there, it looks as if you're going to reduce the hours on a new year. When you've just said there, you said you didn't want, because at the moment you've got New Year it being 12 p.m, so midday until 1 a.m. I think you suggested there that you were looking at the evening, it wouldn't be during the day and it would go to midnight. Is that right, is what you've just said there?
You never have a live singer during the day.
If we don't have live music during the day, like I said, even on New Year's Eve, it's going to be 6 o'clock again. After 6 o'clock, we will never have live music under any condition during the day before 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. There's not going to be any live music before 6 p.m. And like I said, this year, if because of COVID, it's going to be keeping social distancing and COVID time rules, I don't think we're going to do it this year. We won't be able to.
Can I speak, please?
Yeah. Joyce, can I just wait 1 minute, because I've had 2 people waiting to speak for quite a while. Councillor Maitland, would you like to say something?
Yes, I'd just like to ask you, do you have a time when the children have to be off the premises, or are they allowed on as long as the parents are? Or have they got to be off by, say, 9 o'clock, something like that?
It's a family restaurant, and 9 o'clock, obviously, we don't, we close and we don't serve any alcohol or anything. And families with kids, they can leave earlier than that. And it's not going to be anybody in after 9 o'clock.
Catherine, would you like to speak?
Yes, thanks, Chair. It was just just clarity from Helen, actually. Just because Mr. Varan had mentioned about playing recorded music as well, would that still be the same as live music then, be able to do that?
I think I'd have to check the deregulation, because I think live music, I need to check if recorded music's included. Because
Because otherwise the license would need to be for that as well, wouldn't it? We'll have to double check that point.
I'll double check it now, but from what Mr. Varan said, if it's just background music, then that wouldn't need to be licensed. Recorded music would be things like playing like DJ, or it was louder than just background music that was being played. So what I'll do is I'll check the deregulation on recorded music, but from what Mr. Varan said there, it wouldn't need licensable because of the background music.
Okay, thank you for confirming.
Thank you, Mr. Rotherham. I'm sorry, I'll come back to you now.
It's okay. There seems to be another voice as well, other than what is here. I don't know if somebody's talking in the background to Mr. Varan or anybody else, but there seems to be another voice here.
It's my wife, and to be honest, I'm sometimes struggling with English, struggling with the words, some words. I don't think, and she's a licensee as well. She's my wife is licensee.
Okay, is that allowed?
Helen?
Yeah, Chair, is that, can I just confirm, is that Mrs. Curry Varan?
Yes, she is.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know we have had communication with Mrs. Varan with the application as well. In regards to Mr. Rotherham's question, yeah, it is. Mr. Varan can bring in support anybody he wants to at the hearing. So
the screen together. That's all.
I don't know. Is Mrs. Varan able to come into the screen just to identify herself to members?
Just if I'm hearing, because I can hear different voices and it's quite confusing when Mr. Varan's talking and I can hear other things in the background. So if Mrs. Varan is part of the application, can she not speak, or is it just Mr. Varan?
No, either can speak, actually, Mr. Rotherham.
Right. Okay. Just it's getting a bit confused when I'm trying to.
Right, you are then. Right. So is there any other questions you'd like to ask Mr. Rotherham?
So on the plans you have an outdoor kitchen, an outdoor bar and kitchen area.
No, we don't have. We don't have kitchen. We have a bar in there, but we removed it. We are not gonna serve alcohol in over there.
Right. Okay. So that was on the application. That's all.
Yeah. No, there's no kitchen. Outdoor kitchen. The kitchen is. We have one kitchen is inside the building.
Right. And okay. It just feels like there's quite a few inconsistencies. That's all. Also, you've also stated, have you done anything in terms of soundproofing inside the shop? Because you've done quite a lot of renovation. There's nothing on the application to say that you've done that.
I am sure we don't really need soundproof for that, because there's one thing, while the music plays, we take orders and we speak to customers at the same time. We have to hear the customers if any customer needs service on the table. So that means the music is low as possible. It's just like atmosphere, like I said, it's just a tiny Alexa. That's all we have. And you're not going to get speakers. You're not going to get anything like that. It's just Alexa playing in background, which means I am 1,000,000% sure it's not going to be like two walls between you be able to hear it at all. I'm 1,000,000% sure. And recently, while we are working inside the building, we had that Alexa on, and I'm 1,000,000% sure you never heard it. So that means it's going to be the same. It's just not going to be like a music that needing soundproof on the walls or anything. And there's one stairs in a door and a stairs between your wall and our restaurant, and a full kitchen, which means you will never hear any music.
Have you any other questions, Mr. Rotherham?
I'm okay, thank you.
Have any members any questions? Catherine, have you any questions?
No, thank you, Chair. No more questions.
Right. Now it's the chance for Mr. Rotherham. Would you like to make a final address? Sorry, Mr. Rotherham, I've jumped the gun. It should be Helen first. Would Helen like to make a final address? Sorry about that.
Just to confirm that the deregulation does apply to recorded music as well as live music.
Right. Thank you, Helen. Right, Mr. Rotherham, would you like to make a final address to the committee?
Yeah, like I say, this is nothing personal at all. It is literally about making sure that my business is still a safe place to operate, and that people still have a safe environment to be able to discuss whatever they have in the pharmacy in the time that we've been here. I wish them every success in their venture. There's no malice there at all. I've never had any contact with the applicant, so for them to feel that it is anything other than literally something that I have to up my event against. You know, I've stated everything that I've stated, and I've asked the questions to try and understand what they're planning and how it is. And like I say, that there's some inconsistencies there for me, but that's, you know, up to yourselves really at the end of the day. And yeah, that's about it really.
Thank you, Mr. Hang on just a moment. Thank you very much, Mr. Rotherham.
Thank you.
Right, Mr. Verren, would you like to put a final address to the committee?
Can my wife speak? She's licensed here and
Yes, your wife can speak.
Hello, it was just a quick one. Obviously, we understand the concerns and things obviously about music and things like that. We are very professional with our other restaurateurs. We've worked alongside everybody for the same reasons. We work with the public, the police. We are under the crime watch thing for pub watch for people coming in the pubs. But we are predominantly a restaurant. Like I say, we've worked with everybody around. We speak to all the other neighbours. It just seems Mr. Rotherham is now saying we've got inconsistencies. The only inconsistencies is because we've tried to adapt and try to work around and do as much as we can by removing. Everybody wants an outside bar. It's summer, it's nice sitting outside, but no, because rather than upset neighbours, we say, no, we'll cancel it. So that's the only inconsistency that has been cancelled. There's no kitchen or bar outside. We literally scrapped it and we're using it as a storage now. We have still got a seating area outside, so people can still eat outside, but there'll still be no music. So it's not like it's going to be a loud music party out there. It's just somewhere if someone wants to sit outside, if it's nice weather, to have a glass of wine and have a meal. That is it. That's all we are. I've got a 1-year-old who's currently running around. But we are one of them ones where I'm a family business. I don't want to upset people around us. We don't. We just want to fit in the community. And by speaking to every other person around here, everybody sort of needs, Ferry Hill needs a restaurant. We need people to come in. It's somewhere for everybody to get together. And that's the only way. We work really well in Chiltern. We hope we can do the same in Santini. It's obviously La Mensa. As in for the music, it literally is an Alexa played, nothing else. We don't have live music during the day. We don't have enough customers during the day to even make it worthwhile. I work on the floor myself, and we've got to be to a level of music that we can listen to customers if they need our attention, to take orders, to listen to talk to each other. The staff need to talk to each other. It's not a bar. That's what we need to specify. It's a restaurant. And I don't think any of yourselves have been to a restaurant where you're shouting over music to try and talk to each other. It literally is something in the background to have a little bit of atmosphere. We play Italian music in the background. We play recorded songs in the background. Some people will say, can we have this recorded artist on? And they will play a certain genre of music. And it's more trying to keep everybody happy. That's why we've adapted some of the things on the license to say that we won't serve alcohol outside, which we originally wanted to, but we said, no, we'll not do that. We don't want to upset people. So we've scrapped it. Maybe at a later day, we can look at that and try again. And when they realise that we aren't party people and that we're not going to have drunk people coming in all the time, they might then see a different side to us. And then it might be something that we'll move forward with in the future. But for now, that's why there is consistency, because we have tried to work with an awful Mr. and Mrs. B. As soon as we seen that they were upset and thinking that there was going to be loud music, that's why we reduced that straight away and says, no, I'll make sure there'll be nobody outside at all out the back. from 8 o'clock so people can have quiet nights and there'll be no noise. And the same as the no music or no serving alcohol outside. So that's the only part that we wanted to put forward. That's all I've got to say for that part.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vara. Catherine, would you like to sum up, please?
Yes, well, now you've heard everything, Chair, you need to decide which three, well, yourself and which two other members will be deciding on this application.
Could I have 2 volunteer committee members, please, to join?
Joyce Maitland. Karen Liddell.
Thank you very much. Those are the 2 committee members that will join myself to do the deliberation. Is there anything else, Catherine, you would like to say? No?
No, that's fine, thanks.
Thank you. We will now retire in private to consider all the representations from all of the parties, and you will be notified of the decision by the licensing officer later today. Thank you very much for coming. I haven't had any other business. I haven't been notified of anybody having any other business. Therefore, that concludes the business meeting for today. Thank you all very much for coming. Could you please stay quiet for a little while till the recording ends?